Good afternoon, dear ladies. It's so lovely to be here with you again in Prague in person. I first wanted to thank all of you for being here. I wanted to thank Lenka and her team for such an amazing conference one more time. But I also wanted to thank Equal Pay Day for this theme, change. My husband, Zlatko, and I are believers in change. I might want to even say that we're addicted to change. And this situation right now that we're in is actually a big change for us. Both Zlatko and I speak in conferences very often, but we're never on the stage together. Usually, if one of us is on the stage, the other one is behind the stage or in the front row taking pictures. But I see that's covered today. So we're really happy to be here with you today and to share our story, and hopefully in sharing that story inspire you as well. We'll also try something different, so I'll give a little bit of introduction and then I'll interview you. He doesn't even know what's going on.
To be honest, she said to me a few weeks ago, what do you think to go in Prague? And I said, why not? And just a few days ago, I saw on LinkedIn my picture that I'm a speaker, wonderful, on conference with 1,000 women. And I asked Edina, do you know about it? She said, I really don't know, but why not? Okay.
I actually have been the coolest wife in all of Bosnia in the last 7 days, because I've been telling everybody in the last 7 days I'm taking my husband to a women's conference in Czech Republic with 1,000 women around. But I think the idea of change is really amazing because to us, to me personally, and to Zlatko, life has been such that it's really filled with adversity and change. So I'll share a little bit of that because I wanted to see how in these times of adversity we can find a better note in our lives and actually change for the better. I grew up, even though I have the silly American accent, I grew up in Bosnia and Herzegovina. And actually, we have the same hometown in Tuzla, Bosnia. But right before the war in Bosnia, not knowing that there was going to be a war, as a spoiled teenager of influential parents, I decided that I want to go to the United States as an exchange student. And interestingly enough, they said yes. I went to the United States really just to learn the language and to come back and kind of brag about being in the United States. But I had a return ticket for July of 1992, which for those who remember was really, really difficult time in Bosnia. So that was my first tremendous change, not even coming to the United States, but really that phone call when I realized that my past that I really believed in, you know, socialism and Tito and all of that, was now a bad word. That the present that I was going to have, which is that my parents were going to pay for me to, you know, have an apartment in Belgrade or Zagreb and study either medicine or finance, is not going to happen. And then my future is non-existent. I was 16 years old. I had a passport of a country that doesn't exist. I had no money. I had no friends. I had no knowledge of the system. But, you know, today when I run into people and people tell me things like, oh, you know, I lost my job or I got divorced, I say, what a wonderful place to be. And they all go, what? Why? Because at that moment when I really had nothing, I had enough wisdom to say to myself, okay, now that the world is not normal, oh, thank you, sweetie, what can I do now that I couldn't do if the world was normal? So the answer to that question was, for me, to be an artist. Because to be an artist in the normal world was not a possibility. It was a dream that I couldn't even communicate. So in that moment, when I had nothing, I actually had the freedom to start building myself from scratch. And to cut a really long story short, I went to the Corcoran School of Art. They accepted me. They helped me get a permanent status in the United States. They actually gave me a community to belong to. And pretty quickly, in 4 years of art school, I became a semi-cool, fun, possibly famous artist in a really small, tiny fishbowl called Washington, D.C. And then another change happened. A very influential gallery owner came to me and said, you know, what you have, I can't sell. I can sell small abstract work in Washington, D.C. It's a very conservative town. You should really pack your bags and move to New York. So that's what I did. When a gallery owner tells you to pack your bags, you pack your bags. So I moved to New York City, to a city where I only knew one person, who only knew one other person, and I had to start from scratch. And that was my big other change. My cultural shock from Bosnia to DC was equivalent from Washington, DC to New York. But again, the world was not normal, so what could I do now that I couldn't do if the world was normal? Well, I could decide who I am. As we say in New York, what am I made out of? What material am I made from? Is it sponge? Is it concrete? Or is it hard steel? And it turns out I was made out of steel. The wonderful thing about New York is that it's filled with people who kind of ran from home a little bit, who didn't belong in the places where they grew up, and who wanted to make their dreams happen. Make their dreams happen, and actually wanted to do that together. So it was great. I became an exhibiting artist. I started making money off of art. Would you believe that? I started working with fashion designers. I started working with modern dance choreographers. I met celebrities. I was invited to, you know, parties, Heidi Klum's Halloween party, which is a status symbol. And then in that process of becoming a really cool, famous artist living the life that I couldn't dream of, a friend of mine, who's a painter from Sarajevo, who I've met while I was a student, made me, well, he actually called me and he said, you know, you need to come to Bosnia and do an exhibition. And because I really kind of respected him, I said, sure, no problem. I didn't ask when and where. It turns out the exhibition was in Tuzla, which is a really small industrial town in northeast Bosnia, with a lack of an art scene to this day. Even though I try, it's very difficult. And I said to him, where in Tuzla? He said, Bosnian Cultural Center. I said, you're crazy. I'm in Chelsea negotiating. He goes, no, no, no. Not only will you come and exhibit at the Bosnian Cultural Center, you will also not sleep in a hotel, but at your mother's house. So that was 10 years ago. Zlatko describes that time as me being really pissed off and angry, sitting at a table at a restaurant in Tuzla. But what he didn't know then is that I had put my entire life on hold in New York, and I spent a month at 36 years old with my mom going, are you going to go out like that? Sweetie, don't be late. You know? On the other side of the table was a man who didn't look like anything I've ever been attracted to before, who I had no idea was, as he said, how did you call it, single parent of 4 kids, freshly divorced. He seemed to, I mean, I see people, he seemed to be some kind of a celebrity there, you know? He seemed to be, like, important. And then he says things like, oh, yeah, you know, Guinness record, oh, yeah, Guinness. So we come to the other biggest change in my life, which was falling in love with a man who has created change from very, very early age, who was a private company owner during socialism. Now, if I can get a big ooh. Who has never had a boss, who has always done what he wanted to, how he wanted to, and who founded the first private radio station in all of former Yugoslavia. So when I said to him, hold on, what, Guinness, what? He explained to me that he broke the Guinness Book of Records in the largest kiss in the world in Tuzla, Bosnia, with 50,000 couples simultaneously kissing. Then he said, but hold on, no, now we're breaking this other record. What record? Well, in the Viennese waltz in Tuzla, 2,000 couples, pum-pum, pum-pum, pum, 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 pum. And I said, why are you doing this? So hold on. Why did you break the Guinness record in the largest kiss in the world?
Because all the world talks about Muslim position in Bosnia, that they were something dangerous or something like that. And I'm a Muslim, and I'm not danger. And we are drinking Šljivovic everywhere. How can I show to the world to not be afraid of me? So I choose Guinness World Record like tool to send a message. And I invited people, and people come. And one of the most famous football trainer in this region, Mr. Blažević, said to me, my poor Zlatko, if I have 50,000 people on the game, I need Real Madrid. And you come to make it kiss. And people come, yes, people come kissing each other. And I have 1 hour on CNN, I don't know, all worldwide media, everybody talks about
back up
that.
a sec. You said 1 hour on what? He
Worldwide
doesn't know
media,
how to brag.
CNN,
Let me brag for
BBC,
him.
whatever. Everybody wants to talk with me about what we are doing in Bosnia. And I said, we are living lives. We are enjoying, we are Europeans. What do you think? Why to be afraid of us? So I saw that it's a really good tool to send different messages. So we make 4 different world records for different things. 2 or 3 of them were Guinness World Records, 1 is just world records. So whenever I want to change something in society to show some message, I invited people and say, let's break Guinness World Record, whatever, and people come.
I mean, how can you not fall in love, drop your entire life in New York City, and move to Tuzla, Bosnia? Right? So, we fell in love. We did. But I went back to New York. Then there was this long, big story about you leaving me in Barcelona by myself, but we won't talk about that. And at one point...
This is a story about Bosnian visas again.
And then at one point, we decided that it's better we live together than apart. So the biggest other change in my life was that from a cool New York artist, I ended up being a mother of 5 in 1 year. I inherited some gynecologists. If there are gynecologists in the room and you tell me this is not possible, I will beg to differ. I inherited 4 children, gave birth to 1, and I became a mom in Tuzla, Bosnia. For a while, I didn't want to accept this change. I wanted to try to practice my art and my life the way I'm used to. I spent solid 6 months trying to figure out when again in my life am I going to have 12 hours in my studio without anybody asking me a question. It took me 6 months to realize that that time will never, ever come back again. So I decided I'm going to change my art practice. And then another big change happened to me.
I just want to say something about in one moment it was a huge crisis area, 2007 or something like that. I was in media business and I had 4 kids with my former lives. We have a lot of problems.
Wives.
Yeah, we have a lot of problems with the economic crisis. You know, marketing, all companies cut first marketing and blah, blah, blah. I have almost 80 people working for me and they share their family, they choose to live in my company and I have to live with them. You know, in the crisis, it's always a problem. It's not easy to just to cut the lives of the people. So, because half of them spent also during the war, we had a radio station. And my former wife, she chose to change the life. She left. And the kids choose to stay with me. And I have to choose something in my life, professional life. I have a radio station in Sarajevo, I have huge businesses, but now I stay single father with 4 kids. And I have to, again, to be a father, and I have to change my professional things, so I have to cut something what I can't control. And it was really hard time for me. And on this exhibition, our friend who invited me every night, come on, let's have a glass of wine or something like that. And I had Edina on the other side of the table, and she is one of the 1,000 most influential artists, American artists, contemporary artists in this time. And of course, I didn't want anything with Edina. I was in my problem with 4 kids, with 80 people, with a business which are staying on 20% of the usually budget, whatever. So I start to talk with Edina, and she's talking to me something different, you know. And I understand that she really stay in the United States without the state, without passport, without money, without family, without any communication with her parents in the age of 16. Unbelievable. And she fight. And we start to talk each others. And I don't know, we spend 1 month together, talk, whatever. And at the end of the world, I don't have any rights to expect anything from this connection, you know. And after 6 months, I get a message from United States, and somebody asked me about soccer, about football. And I said, from soccer, from United States, who is that? And it was Edina. And we start to exchange messages, and now we are 10 years together.
We are 10 years together. And the greatest change in all of this is that we not only decided that it's better we spend our days together than apart, which means that we're constantly on the road. I still have my studio in New York. We have our studio in Sarajevo, studio in Tuzla. We're constantly traveling. We're constantly balancing our lives, professional and personal. We're together 24/7. We now use my visual art and his actions to actually create the change around us. So I just wanted you for the end, before we break the record in the longest session today, to tell the story about how you create a change, how from one idea, from one woman who came to you and said, help me raise awareness on cervical cancer. This woman was a doctor. Help me get the word out there that there's a vaccine. Bosnia has the worst rating in Europe on the death rate of cervical cancer. How do you get from that to having 1 million views on YouTube and having the whole country brewing about what can we do for cervical cancer?
In one moment, first I want to...
But quickly.
Yeah, okay. I'm an architect. I finish architecture. I usually starting always the new ideas from the foundation. Think about to be very, very strong foundation, and after that you can build whatever. It have to be nice, and how to show to the people whatever you want. So one moment I had, of course, 3 daughters. Now 2 daughters. At that time it was 2 daughters, and some doctors asked me, how can I help them how can we talk about cancer to the women, how to stop that, because all this Balkan region is very, very, a lot of young women had a lot of problem with the cancer. And I said, it's not problem, I can talk with all media, and whatever I call media, and these women in media were in position to change something, they doesn't want to change. They don't care about it. They just said, we don't have time for that. It's not so important, whatever. So I said, let's change things to invite the most popular musicians all over the former Yugoslavia, and to singing one song talking about that. And I started to talk about that to some of my friends from Sarajevo, who is musicians. And that night, his wife called me, and she said to me, I have a song for you. And she started singing to me a song on the telephone. And I said, we have a song.
Do you have a hit?
We have a hit. And what? And I said, let's call now all others the most famous singers in the region. And we really called in Zagreb, in Belgrade, in Macedonia, everywhere, and we made a hit. We made a wonderful song, and whomever I call from this world of the media, whatever, They want to play a song, but they didn't want to give me a show. So at the end, we have almost 30 million different viewers on the YouTube, and now it was one of the most popular songs about fighting against cancer.
Start small and build big. Thank you so much.